The mockery. The galaxy was wide, filled with fleets of shining ships that carried the banners of ancient empires. Their vessels were tall and beautiful, covered in gold, steel, and crystal. Some glowed with living light. Others were built from rare metals that shined like stars. To the alien races, warships were not just machines. They were symbols of power, pride, and culture. And then there was the human ship. It was called Horizon's Spear. But to the eyes of the galaxy, it looked nothing like a spear. Its body was long, flat, and ugly. Its armor was dark, dull, and uneven. There were no glowing edges, no polished symbols, no decoration. Compared to the alien cruisers, this ship looked like a piece of junk pulled from a scrapyard. Whenever Horizon's Spear appeared at a meeting or patrol, alien captains would laugh. They called it the floating coffin, the box of rust, and the toy ship of Earth. Even the smallest alien frigates looked more impressive. Horizon's Spear looked like it was falling apart, as if one good shot could break it in half. The crew knew what others thought. They heard the whispers. They saw the alien smirks when their ship docked at neutral stations. Some humans even began to doubt. Why had their leaders chosen this ship, this relic, as their symbol of strength? Why not build something brighter, sharper, and louder? But the captain did not doubt. Captain Elias Rhodes stood at the bridge, his face calm, his eyes steady. He was not young, not old, but his presence was heavy like stone. He never raised his voice. He never explained himself. Yet every crew member followed him because when he spoke, it felt final. He carried the kind of silence that made others trust him without asking questions. And still, the galaxy mocked. At the great gathering of fleets above the planet Calaris, hundreds of alien ships stood in orbit. They glowed in colors of blue, red, and silver, like stars gathered for war. Horizon's Spear was the only human ship present, and it looked pitiful among them. Alien admirals laughed openly on their channels. "Is this your weapon?" one voice mocked. "It looks like a mining barge," another said. Perhaps they brought a cargo ship instead of a warship. The laughter filled the communication lines. The crew of Horizon's Spear sat in silence, listening. Some clenched their fists. Some lowered their heads. But the captain only looked forward, his hands behind his back, his eyes fixed on the endless dark of space. The meeting was meant to show unity, but beneath the smiles and speeches, the galaxy was preparing for war. Humanity was the youngest race in the stars. Their colonies were small, their fleets were weak, and their history was short. The empires thought they could push humans aside, steal their worlds, and take their resources without resistance. Horizon's Spear was sent to stand as a warning. Humanity was ready to fight, but no one believed it. At night, in the lower decks of the ship, the younger crew members whispered to each other. They asked why they had been chosen, why this ship of all ships was sent to represent humanity. Some admitted their fear. The alien fleets were massive, their weapons unmatched. Horizon's Spear was small, slow, and outdated. Against a real attack, what chance did they have? And still Captain Rhodes said nothing. He did not give speeches. He did not explain. He only walked the halls of his ship, quiet, watching his crew with a calm gaze. Somehow that calm was more powerful than any words. Outside, the alien fleets laughed. Inside, humanity waited. The first test came quickly. A border skirmish broke out near the edge of human space. A group of alien raiders crossed into human territory, destroying satellites and colonies. The empires looked to Horizon's Spear to respond. Many waited for the human ship to be destroyed. They wanted proof that Earth was weak. The alien raiders themselves mocked the challenge. When they saw Horizon's Spear approach, they sent an open broadcast. "This is the human warship? This coffin? This barge?" They jeered. "One shot and it will break apart. Humans should hide, not fight." The laughter spread again across channels, across fleets, across empires. Everyone waited for the battle, not with fear, but with amusement. They wanted to see how fast Horizon's Spear would fall, but inside the ship there was no laughter. The crew moved to their stations. Their hands were steady. Their eyes were focused. The captain gave only one order: hold position. And so Horizon's Spear floated in the dark, surrounded by enemies, mocked by the galaxy, waiting for the first shot to be fired. The moment stretched. The silence deepened. Even the crew began to feel the weight of the galaxy's eyes upon them. Why had humanity chosen this ship? Why send something so ugly, so outdated, so weak? And then, as the enemy fleet locked weapons, the narrator's voice grew colder. What the galaxy did not know, what no one had guessed, was that Horizon's spear was not built for beauty or for show. It was built for something else. Something terrible. Something hidden. The laughter of the aliens echoed louder, waiting to crush the humans. But the secret inside Horizon's spear was about to awaken. The first contact with arrogance, the alien fleet did not waste time. Their ships spread across the darkness like a wall of fire. Dozens of cruisers, frigates, and heavy destroyers locked into formation. They were polished and beautiful, their hulls glowing with symbols of ancient power. Each one carried weapons that had crushed entire rebellions. Together they looked like a storm of iron and light. At the center of this storm floated Horizon's spear, still and silent. The alien commanders opened their channels once more, this time not only to mock but to threaten. Their voices carried the arrogance of centuries. You should not be here, humans. This is no place for weaklings. Return to your little world or be destroyed. Your ship is nothing. Your people are nothing. Leave or face fire. The words came from many mouths, but they all sounded the same. Proud, certain, cruel. They did not see a warship before them. They saw prey. Inside Horizon's spear, the crew listened to every word. The younger ones clenched their teeth, their hands trembling on controls. They felt anger, but also fear. The aliens were right in one way. The human ship looked small and fragile. Against so many enemies, their chances seemed impossible, but Captain Rhodes remained calm. His face gave no sign of fear. He let the words pass, cold and meaningless, like wind against stone. When the alien voices stopped, he finally spoke. His voice was steady, his tone even. Hold position, he said again. The crew obeyed. The ship did not move. It did not fire. It did not answer the alien threats. It only floated silent in the dark sea of stars. This silence enraged the alien fleet. They expected fear. They expected begging. Instead, the human ship gave nothing. The alien commanders thought it was weakness or foolish pride. One admiral sneered over the open channel. They cannot speak. They cannot fight. Their silence is proof of their fear. End this now. The order spread like fire. Weapons charged. Energy lit the alien fleet in blinding colors. Beams of power, missiles of plasma, and cannons of iron locked on the single human ship. On Horizon's spear, the lights dimmed as shields prepared. The crew held their breath. The ship seemed small, almost helpless, before the storm about to fall upon it. And yet, the captain's eyes did not move. He spoke only one word. Ready. The alien fleet opened fire. The black sky exploded with light. Beams tore through the void. Plasma streaked across space. Missiles screamed like falling stars. The first volley of destruction fell upon Horizon's spear with the strength to crush cities, worlds, entire fleets. The crew braced for impact. The galaxy prepared to laugh again. The admirals waited to see the coffin torn apart, but the ship did not break. The weapons struck, but something stirred within the hull. The armor of Horizon's spear glowed faintly, lines of light spreading across its surface like veins of fire. The enemy shots hit, but instead of tearing metal, they bent and vanished, absorbed by the ship's hidden skin. The alien admirals froze. Their eyes widened. "What is this?" one whispered. "That is not possible," another said. But before they could understand, Horizon's spear answered. Panels along its sides shifted, opening like the wings of some great machine. Deep within its core, a sound began, a low hum, steady and heavy, as if the ship itself was waking from a long sleep. Lights burned across its frame, brighter and brighter, until the ugly dark armor seemed alive with hidden energy. The crew watched in silence. They had never seen this before. Even they did not know what the ship truly carried. For years they had been mocked, doubted, ridiculed. Now they saw the truth with their own eyes. Horizon's spear was not what the galaxy believed. It was something else. The alien fleet fired again, desperate, afraid. More light, more power, more missiles. But the same thing happened. Every strike vanished against the armor. Not one scratch appeared. The ship stood untouched, like stone against rain. Then came the first human strike. The captain gave the order with a calm voice. "Return fire." From the front of Horizon's spear, a single weapon opened. It did not look like a cannon. It looked like a wound in space itself. The hum grew louder, sharper. The stars around the ship seemed to bend. And then, in one flash, a beam of white fire cut through the void. It struck the nearest alien cruiser. There was no explosion, no flames. The The cruiser simply split apart in silence, torn in half by light so pure it looked unreal. The pieces drifted away, glowing as they burned. The silence that followed was louder than the weapon itself. The alien fleets, so loud with their arrogance, said nothing. The admirals, so quick with their laughter, stared at the broken remains of their shining cruiser. Their voices caught in their throats. Their hands froze above their controls. Inside Horizon's spear, the crew still sat in silence. But this silence was different. It was not fear. It was awe. Their ship, their mocked warship, had revealed its teeth. The captain did not smile. He only gave another order, his voice calm, his eyes steady. Target the next. And with that, Horizon's spear turned its weapon again, ready to show the galaxy what humanity had hidden for so long. The first strike. The first alien cruiser drifted in silence, its broken body glowing faintly as it burned in the cold void. No one spoke. No one laughed. The galaxy that had mocked the human warship now stared in disbelief. Horizon's spear remained where it was, steady and calm, its single weapon still glowing with the light of its strike. To the alien fleets, it no longer looked like a coffin. It looked like something else, something unnatural, something that should not exist. On the bridge of Horizon's spear, the crew sat frozen. Their hands hovered above controls, their breaths caught in their throats. Even they had not expected this. Their ship had been a mystery even to them. They had heard rumors of hidden systems, of secret designs buried in its core, but rumors were nothing compared to what they had just seen. The captain did not pause. He did not give them time to drown in awe. His voice was steady, the same calm tone as always. Lock next target, the crew obeyed. Their shock turned to focus. Fingers moved across consoles. Sensors locked. The weapon hummed once again, that deep and steady sound like a giant heartbeat filling the void. The alien admirals panicked. Their commands broke apart in fear. "Spread out," one shouted. "Do not cluster, scatter, scatter! Destroy that thing now!" Their ships moved quickly, lines breaking, formations shattering. Once they had moved with perfect discipline like a single living storm. Now they were disordered, each vessel desperate to survive. They fired again. Waves of energy rushed through the black sky. Missiles screamed. Cannons tore open with thunder, but nothing struck true. The strange light on Horizon's spear swallowed every blow. The weapons of ancient empires became useless sparks against its armor. The human weapon fired again. Another flash, another silent cut through space. A second cruiser vanished, sliced apart in a single strike. Then a third. Each shot was final. No escape, no damage control. Ships simply fell silent, broken, drifting wreckage in the dark. The galaxy watched as arrogance turned into terror. In command halls across the fleets, alien officers shouted, their faces pale, their voices trembling. None of them had seen anything like this. No database, no archive, no history spoke of such a weapon. Humanity was young, poor, weak. How could they hold such power? On Horizon's spear, the silence deepened. No one cheered. No one shouted. The crew only worked, steady and focused. Their shock now carved into determination. They no longer doubted their ship. They no longer cared about the galaxy's laughter. They had seen the truth and they believed, but belief did not erase fear. Lieutenant Mara at weapons control whispered without meaning to. "Captain, what are we holding here?" Rhodes did not look at her. His eyes never left the stars. He only gave the next command. "Fire again," the weapon spoke. Another ship fell. The alien admirals began to retreat. They ordered their fleets to fall back, to regroup, to wait for reinforcements. Pride vanished. All that remained was fear. Ships that once moved with the grace of predators now fled like prey. But the Horizon's spear did not chase. It did not rush. It did not need to. Each shot reached across space with impossible speed, cutting down the fleeing vessels one by one. There was no safety, no distance far enough, no shield strong enough. The weapon tore through them all. In the void, silence followed each strike. The alien voices returned, but they no longer mocked. They begged. "Wait, cease fire. We will withdraw. This is not war, this is slaughter." Their words fell into the void, unanswered. The captain gave no reply. His face did not change. His voice did not rise. He only spoke the same steady command again and again. Target fire, the crew obeyed. The ship obeyed. The galaxy trembled. Soon the wreckage of dozens of alien vessels floated in silence, drifting like broken bones in space. Fires burned faintly in the black. Pieces of proud fleets shattered into nothing. The storm that had once mocked Horizon's spear was gone. But the captain did not stop. He stood tall, his hands behind his back, watching as his ship tore apart those who had doubted it. His calm was more terrifying than any anger. And then when the last cruiser was cut down, the weapon fell silent. The hum faded. The panels closed. Horizon's spear looked once again like an ugly scrap of metal, dull and plain, drifting in the void. But the galaxy would never see it as weak again. The crew sat in silence. Some stared at their hands, trembling now not with fear but with the weight of what they had done. Some looked at the captain, their eyes filled with awe. No one spoke. Finally, Lieutenant Mara whispered, her voice shaking. "Captain, how long can we keep this up?" The captain did not answer. He only looked at the wreckage, at the silence that spread across the stars. His eyes were steady, cold and unshaken, and in that silence, one truth spread across the galaxy faster than any fleet. Humanity was no longer weak. Humanity's wrath, unleashed. The silence after the battle was heavy, but it did not last long. Across the galaxy, word of what had happened spread faster than light. The fleets that had once mocked Horizon's spear now carried only whispers of terror. Admirals who had laughed only hours before now sat pale and speechless in their command chairs. Entire empires asked the same question: what is the human ship? In council chambers, alien leaders shouted at each other. Some claimed it was a lie. Some demanded evidence. But the wreckage of their fleets told the truth more clearly than any report. Dozens of their finest ships had been cut apart like paper. The Horizon spear still drifted untouched, silent. A dark shadow against the stars. Fear spread. To the smaller races of the galaxy, who had always bent under the power of the great empires, the sight of human strength was like fire in the dark. If a young race like humanity could wield such a weapon, then the balance of power was broken. The chains that had held them for centuries no longer looked unbreakable. But to the empires themselves, the ones who had ruled for thousands of years, fear turned into rage. They had lost ships, fleets, pride. They had been humiliated before the galaxy. If they admitted defeat, their thrones would fall. And so they planned. In their war rooms, maps of the stars lit up with red markers. They whispered of traps, of overwhelming force, of bringing hundreds of ships together to crush one vessel. They swore that humanity would be erased before the weapon could spread. But while they planned, Horizon's spear moved. Captain Rhodes gave no speeches. He gave no warnings. The ship entered alien systems without fear. Wherever it appeared, fleets gathered to stop it. And wherever they gathered, silence followed. The weapon fired and empires wept. Alien soldiers saw their commanders fall. Pilots screamed as their ship split in half. Generals who had once spoken with arrogance now begged for retreat. But retreat brought no safety. The weapon reached across distances that should have been safe. It tore through defenses thought to be impossible to break. On one world, citizens watched from the ground as their proud defense fleet vanished in burning silence above their skies. Children cried as falling debris lit the night. Parents whispered that the humans had become gods. On another, priests of an ancient empire fell to their knees. Their scriptures had promised that their kind alone carried divine favor. Yet in a single day, Horizon's spear destroyed the fleets they had blessed for centuries. Their prayers broke. Their faith collapsed. Everywhere the ship went, it carried not just destruction but fear. Inside Horizon's spear, the crew worked in silence. They were no longer surprised by the weapon's power, but they felt its weight grow heavier with each battle. They no longer doubted their captain, but some began to fear him. He gave no mercy, no pause, no explanation. His orders never changed. Target fire. Lieutenant Mara, once loud with questions, now spoke only in whispers. She wondered if they were still defending humanity, or if they had become something darker. But the captain's eyes allowed no debate. They followed his command because the galaxy itself bent before him. And still the alien fleets came. They came with more numbers, more weapons, more hope that this time the human warship would fall. Each time they failed. Each time, more wreckage floated in silence. Alien historians would later write that this was the moment the galaxy changed. It was the moment fear became the law. the moment no one dared to laugh at Earth again. One alien admiral, before his ship was torn apart, gave the last words that spread like fire across the stars. His voice shook, but his words were clear. This is not a warship. This is judgment. From then on, Horizon's spear was no longer mocked. It was whispered like a curse, like a shadow that could not be escaped. Wherever its name was spoken, silence followed. And humanity, once the youngest race in the stars, was now feared more than all the empires combined. The galaxy had mocked them. Now the galaxy trembled. The silence after annihilation. The war was over before the galaxy could understand it had begun. Horizon's spear had cut through fleets like a blade through cloth. Worlds that once laughed at the name of humanity now spoke it in whispers. The empires that had ruled for thousands of years fell quiet, their pride broken, their fleets drifting in ruins. In the dark of space, silence returned. Wreckage floated where once there had been armadas. Pieces of gold and steel shimmered like dying stars. The void carried no laughter now, only the cold truth of defeat. On the bridge of Horizon's spear, the crew looked out through the wide glass. Their faces were pale, their eyes heavy. They had survived, but survival felt different now. It was not triumph they carried. It was weight. Lieutenant Mara sat at her station, her voice barely more than a breath. "We ended them," she said. "All of them." No one answered. The silence inside the ship was as heavy as the silence outside. The captain stood at the front, as still as ever. His hands were behind his back, his eyes fixed on the drifting remains of the fleets. He had not shouted once. He had not celebrated once. His calm had never broken. To the crew, that calm was more terrifying than the weapon itself. Finally, he spoke. His voice was steady, low, final. "Mark the field, record it. Let the galaxy remember." The crew obeyed. Sensors scanned the ruins, capturing every fragment, every burning piece of ship, every silent corpse drifting in the void. History would not forget this day. Humanity would not let it. But beyond the wreckage, beyond the silence, fear spread even deeper. On alien worlds, leaders gathered in secret rooms. Their voices shook as they asked the same question. Would the humans stop here? Or would they come for more? No one had the answer. No one dared guess. Merchants closed their trade routes. Armies pulled back from human borders. Citizens whispered in fear of Earth's shadow. Even the proudest empires now sent silent envoys with trembling offers of peace. To them, Horizon's spear was not just a warship. It was a message. Inside the halls of human government, leaders sat in silence as well. Reports came in from across the stars. Some celebrated, some wept, but none could deny the truth. Humanity had been mocked, belittled, ignored. Now humanity was feared, and fear was a crown heavier than any other. On Horizon's spear, the crew felt it most of all. They had seen the weapon's light, felt its hum shake their bones, watched it tear apart enemies with no effort at all. They had seen empires crumble, not by numbers, not by strategies, but by one single ship. Was this victory, or was it something darker? At night, in the quiet halls of the ship, some crew members whispered of curses. They asked if Horizon's spear had been built by human hands alone. They wondered if something older, something not human, had left its design in secret. But no one dared speak those fears to the captain. His silence gave no space for doubt. One night, Mara dared to ask. Her voice shook as she spoke. "Captain, why us? Why was this ship built?
Why were we chosen to carry it?"
Rhodes turned his eyes to her. His gaze was calm, steady, heavy. "For this," he said simply. "For them to know." He gave no more words, no more answers. But the crew understood. The galaxy would never laugh again, and so the silence of annihilation spread. Not just in space, not just on ruined battlefields, but in every council chamber, every throne room, every whisper of every alien child who asked their parents why the stars had gone quiet. The answer was always the same. Humanity had spoken. The final message of Horizon's spear was not written in words, but in wreckage. Not in diplomacy, but in silence. The ship had no need for beauty, no need for praise. It had only needed to prove one truth: mock humanity and you will not live to regret it. In the years that followed, Horizon's spear became legend. Some called it the Spear of Judgment, others the Shadow of Earth, others simply the ship that ended laughter. It was spoken of with fear, with respect, with silence. And though many ships would be built after it, though fleets would grow stronger, none carried the same weight. For Horizon's spear had not just fought a war, it had changed the galaxy forever. On the bridge, Captain Rhodes gave his final order of the campaign. His voice was steady, almost quiet. Set course. Home. The ship turned slowly, leaving behind the silence, leaving behind the ruins. Its armor looked dull again, plain, ugly. To any who did not know, it seemed like a scrap of metal drifting through the void. But the galaxy knew. And from that day, no one dared laugh at humanity again.